Hi, this is Virtual Kitchen and I'm Olivia, and this time I'm going to be talking a little bit about Oaxaca, Mexico, where I went to visit again a couple months ago, and I'm going to talk about the agave plant, which is pretty magical, and the process of making mezcal, and I made a vegan chocolate cookie recipe that uses like several Mexican flavors. So that's the theme today. So Oaxaca is basically like the capital of agave plantations and making mezcal. So when I went there with my friends in May, we went and visited one of the farms. Most of, or basically all of them, are run by families, have stayed in the families for multiple generations, and all of the production of mezcal is artisanal and still basically done by hand. And there's no like extra chemicals or substitutes. So Oaxaca has like about 66% of the production of mezcal, so it's kind of known as like the home of mezcal. And yeah, the countryside was like full of these magical agave plants. Before I continue this video, I'm going to be donating to Fundación Envía, which is a NGO that is based in Oaxaca, and they basically collect money through donations and through like sustainable tourism there to organize loans and educational programs for entrepreneurial women in the region, in like 6 different communities around Oaxaca. And when I was in Oaxaca, like I talked to some people. I talked to a nice guy in a hostel. He was from Guadalajara, who told me about how he worked for an NGO there and would like go to the communities, take photos for them and stuff. And I was thinking a lot about tourism in our day and age, and how most of our money doesn't even go to the communities that we visit. It goes to a couple people who run hotels or restaurants, or maybe like a bus tourist agency, and not that much of the money that we spend ends up with the people who live there. So that's something that I would like to implement in my future travel, is that I find a way to give back to some kind of organization that is like on the ground, who's really there. So mezcal uses the fermented sugars of the agave plant that are baked, and it results in a alcoholic beverage that is kind of like clear, or maybe like a little bit amber colored, and has quite a smoky taste to it. And so I actually always like enjoyed mezcal, but I had no idea about the agave plant and all the work that goes into producing mezcal. So going to that farm was one of my favorite experiences during the whole trip. And obviously we got to try a lot of different ones, and yeah, it was just a really enjoyable experience. And so I might link that farm down below. And so there are several different agave plants, and depending on the region where the mezcal is produced, they may be using a different kind of agave. And yeah, the agave is like actually like an amazing plant. It's I kind of meditated on the energy of it, and was kind of thinking about it, and it's definitely got this like kind of joy and like celebratory vibe to it, because mezcal also used to only be used in like kind of rituals or for parties, births, deaths, etc. It's kind of I don't know, it's like it embodies this like kind of sweetness of life, because it is a very very sweet plant actually when they've baked it, and like if you then eat the baked sugars, you can like kind of suck them off of the plant. It's like very, very sweet. And also the agua miel, which is like the liquid syrup that is right in the pine of it, is also sucked out and then fermented and becomes the drink, this fermented beverage called pulque. But yeah, the plant's like really sweet and smooth and strong. It kind of feels like or like how I imagine that like a shark skin would feel like, kind of this like smooth but structured feel to it. Yeah, the plant kind of just stands for, you know, protection, resilience, adaptability. I mean, it grows in these like really hot circumstances for, you know, years. One of the kind of beautiful things about the plant is that when it's about to die, it sends up a stalk, which then flowers. And that's kind of like its dying breath, is its last push of creating new babies before it then dies. So it's very much a kind of a plant that sacrifices itself for its own children, and it's kind of a beautiful metaphor for the circle of life. And so the taste of mezcal is influenced by the type of agave plant that is harvested, then how it is cooked, which can have a bit of influence over like the smoky flavor. Then how ripe or like how old the agave is, and then also which herbs or plants are used when it is distilled. The liquid is heated up and it goes through a filter where the kind of different herbs can be held. And so basically how the whole agave harvest works is they cut all the spines off of it so that it is just a kind of pine. Looks kind of like a pine cone or a pineapple. And then you use kind of like a stake and a wedge to hit it and lever it out of the ground. And then all of these pines, they're called piñas at the end, are then taken and they are put in the ground and covered up with wood and dirt and baked for several hours. Or that's the part of the process that it introduces the smoky flavor. Then after that, the cooked mass is like milled and mashed and then left to ferment, and then it is distilled once and then again, and then after that it is matured in like barrel casks, you know, kind of the same thing that is used for whiskey. And then after that it gets bottled into just clear glass bottles and it's ready to go. Yeah, and so kind of like inspired by the amazing flavors that you can find in Oaxaca, which are like, you know, chocolate and peanuts and lime, avocados everywhere, and the mezcal. I took those ingredients and I made a chocolate cookie, which you can create after me. And so that's the next part of this video. So thank you for watching if you watched up to here, and please give me a comment or a like or subscribe. Every interaction helps this kind of grow and helps more people see it and gives me a bit of motivation. Thanks for tuning in so far, and stay tuned for cookies. Yeah, this cookie is inspired by my last trip to Mexico, and I wanted to see if baking a cookie with mezcal, whether you would be able to taste the mezcal, because mezcal is magical, and I just want to see if baking with it, you know, does anything. This recipe was based very loosely on an ottolenghi one for pecan banana chocolate cookies. But I've switched out the butter with coconut oil, I've reduced the sugar, I've added flour, I've added half an avocado as kind of a binding agent. I've added peanuts instead of pecans, lime zest, and the mezcal. So we'll see how it turns out. It basically has very little resemblance now with the original. So first of all, doing 110 grams of coconut oil. I'm preheating the oven to 170, 100 grams of sugar. So this is what our sugar and coconut oil mixture looks like. And then in our egg, we have a rather brown looking banana. That was super disgusting, but oh well. The other part of our egg is going to be half of a little avocado. So there we have that. I'm gonna mix it. So here's the batter now. Oh yeah, the other thing that we want to add to the liquid ingredients is our mezcal. And also a tiny little shot for me. So strong, but oh, it's really nice. It's warming. This is a little guy I got. You can definitely smell it in the batter so far. Doing 160 grams of flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, quarter teaspoon of salt, and at least a quarter teaspoon cinnamon. Then also the zest of a lime. Added some more of some of the dry ingredients so I can start mixing. Oh yeah, the other dry ingredient is the cacao powder. It's about 20 grams. Here's the consistency so far. Pretty good and thick, seems like a good amount. Yeah, we'll see. And I'm gonna chop up 100 grams of dark chocolate. And then I'm adding 75 grams of peanuts, salted roasted peanuts. So here's what the batter looks like. I think the consistency is pretty good. So I'm just not really quite sure how these are gonna grow, so I'll just give them plenty of space. And then I'll put these in for like 10 minutes and then see how we're doing. Okay, so we have our first batch out and they're looking pretty good. They're a bit ugly, but I think they're pretty legit, especially for a vegan cookie. Okay, so they turned out. They look like cookies. They're a bit, I mean, they could be prettier, but they you can pick them up, you can eat them. I had one, it tasted good, but I'm gonna let them cool and rest overnight and then see how the flavors taste in the morning, because sometimes when they're hot it's a little bit hard to tell. Also, I've made the mistake of eating too many baked goods hot out of the oven before, and then the next day I tried them, they tasted better than the day before, and I was full of regrets. So I'll try them tomorrow and then we'll see how they worked out. Okay, so the cookies turned out pretty good. They're very soft, very chocolatey. You can taste the lime. I don't know if I can taste the mezcal, but I think it did something. It does definitely maybe help to make it a little bit less sweet. The avocado and the banana worked out well. My roommate said they were really good and he's a chef. Maybe I would actually leave out the lime because it can be quite strong. Kind of steals the show, and I think the whole like peanut, chocolate, mezcal, cinnamon combination is probably the way to go. But yeah, really good for a vegan cookie, and definitely very delicious when they're straight out of the oven. Like, I'd almost recommend eating them within the first hour. They're good the next day as well, but they were just particularly good when they were right out of the oven. That's that little bit. And yeah, those are the cookies.